got a very important phone call to make.
Fujifilm X100V, the premium APS-C camera from Fuji versus Sony A7R3 with the premium sonar design lens, Zeiss lens f2.8 from Sony. Let's find out how these cameras are sticking to each other in family photography, documentary photography, street and travel photography. Let's find out if this lens on Sony A7C or on another Sony full frame camera can replace Fuji X100V. Let's talk about this now. Welcome to my channel. My name is Tudor Matescu and I like to talk about street photography, camera gear and photography tips and tricks. And I also like to compare different camera brands and different lenses for street photography, family, travel photography and so on. So if you are liking content like this, please consider to subscribe now to my channel. And let's get to the subject. I was always thinking that I can replace Fujifilm X100V with this sonar Zeiss design lens for a Sony full frame system. And I've made several tests in the past years where I've used this lens on a Sony A7S. And the results were good, but at a different moment in time when I didn't had any other X100 camera, I sold my X100F and X100 Fine Pix, the first one. I've realized that X100V it's irreplaceable, and I've made a special video regarding this. Check link in the card here. So anyway, now I have a better camera with a bigger sensor, and I want to compare these two cameras in real world use, street photography, family photography, travel photography, and let's see how these cameras are stacking to each other. So first of all, let's discuss about the ergonomics of these two cameras. Well, both cameras are having great ergonomics. So the ergonomics are great on both cameras. I really don't like this hate on Sony menu systems. On a Sony menu system, you have extraordinary customization control, so it's up to you to learn that menu system. But also the Fujifilm menu system, it's not a great extraordinary system. It's an okay system, but use a Lumix camera, use a Lumix GX9 camera and learn that system, and you will find out that Lumix cameras are having the best ergonomics from my point of view regarding menus, buttons and so on. So regarding the operations of these two cameras, body, buttons, software, menus, I can call them equally good. But now this is taking me to the next point, portability. So it's clear for all of us, I think, that Sony A7R3 with this lens is not so portable as Fujifilm X100V. Sony A7R3 is not so portable because of the weight, not about the size, not about of the chunky grip and the chunky EVF, but especially the problem that I have with this camera, it's the weight. So I really feel the weight in a normal bag, but I'm thinking to buy a lighter bag, and I find out if I will use a lighter bag, I will not have the weight problem, so I can save the carrying weight using a lighter bag. In the hand, I don't know, I really would have wished the body would have at least 500 grams like Sony A7C, and this would be another story, but the body it is 650 grams, so it is weighter. But I think it's something that you can deal with if you want and really want full frame. But why would you want that? And this is taking me to the next chapter, IQ, image quality. Well, this is the tricky chapter. Because if we'll judge these cameras at pixel level in studio or in similar shots, of course, Sony A7R3 with this sonar design lens will win by far. because the sonar design is rendering the images very naturally, very organically. This lens, it is a beautiful lens, and it's above Samyang 35 meters f2.8, no question asked. But photography, it's not done at pixel level. Photography, it's not done in controlled situations. Photography is done in uncontrolled situations, especially street photography, travel photography, and family photography. So the light will change, the distance from you to the subject will change, and the results will be very mixed or similar or better depending on the camera that you will use. So I want to address image quality by judging this camera in real world use. So first of all, let's talk about the shallow depth of field. The shallow depth of field, that it's important for portraits if you want to do portraits with a wider lens. So my findings are very interesting. I feel that in some situations Sony A7R3 will win it by far, and in other situations X100V will win it by far. So let me give you some real world examples. Indoors, if you want to do portraits of your family, this camera will win because of the f2 lens and because you have the chance to get closer to your family member, friend, and so on. This lens, it is crippled by the minimum focus distance, and indoors you will not obtain the same shallow depth of field that you can obtain with this camera. So I feel this camera at f2 indoors, where the light is low, will perform better than this lens, because this lens has an f2.8 aperture, and this means you will bump up the ISO at levels that you don't want to bump it, even if you have a full frame camera, and also because of the minimum focus distance. So X100V indoors, for me, for family shots, it's winning it. Yes, I can get similar results with this camera, but I don't feel I have a real advantage. So this is very important. I can get similar results like X100V. I don't say it is under X100V. No, the results will be similar, but it's problematic regarding the ISO levels, and also you will not gain much depth of field because of the bad minimum to focus distance and because of the f2.8 apertures. So this round, indoors portrait photography at f2, I feel X100V is performing better. Now let's talk about the outdoor photography. Well, I feel that the outdoor photography also, it depends when you are doing photography, by day or by night. Well, I feel that by day, if you are using an f8, f5.6 aperture, you'll have similar results. Yes, on a bigger screen you will feel the full frame quality, the full frame clarity, and so on. But if you want to use an f2.8, and because you'll have a more background distance from your subject, you'll have a better depth of field, with a better shallow depth of field with this lens. But also X100V is staying very well. So outdoors in a good light at f2.8, this lens will perform better, will give you better subject separation from the background, keeping the background also in focus with good details. Also, you can use this lens at f4, and I feel that at f4 the subject will also pop more on Sony A7R3. So outdoors in good light, Sony A7R3 it's staying better, but also X100V it's not much behind. Yes, you will not have that bite, but how I've said, it's not much behind. And also have in mind that it's more portable. So now let's talk about night photography. Well, for night photography with this lens, with this f2.8 lens, I really have to think about the composition and the light. I can't use it in places where I don't have light because of the f2.8 aperture, but this X100V with the f2 aperture will give me some chance to use it and take snaps in places where I don't have enough light. So for low light photography, this f2.8 it's also giving you troubles. It's also giving you troubles. So yes, you can go with the ISO, you can go, but I don't know, at pixel level you will not like it. So I really don't know. It's hard to judge by night. But this f2.8, how I've said, by night is not something that you want. It's not something. I really don't like to shoot by night in very, very low light situations with an f2.8 aperture. By night I prefer at least f2, and especially I prefer f1.4. Now let's talk about colors. Let's talk about colors. Well, definitely Fuji X100V, it's winning the color games. It's winning the color games because of all the Jpegs recipes that are out there, and also because of the good colors that Fujifilm is having. Please also be sure to check my recipe, my cinematic recipe with Fujifilm X100V, link in the card here. But on a Sony system, if you want to edit the RAW files, you can do everything that you want with the RAW files, and I recommend to use Cobalt profiles to get Fuji colors on a Sony camera, and I've made a special video regarding this. Please check the link in the card here. So anyway, regarding colors, Fujifilm is winning it. On Sony it's problematic. Yes, you have bad colors, bad white balance, but you can take that colors where you want if you want to spend time in post-processing. Now let's get to the next part, black and white, because this is important for me. And I feel that Sony A7R3, it is winning the black and white game. Why is that? Because on Sony A7R3 you have better tones in a black and white photography. So regarding black and white, for me that it's very, very important. I feel that yes, Sony A7R3, it's giving me better results with this lens. The light is acting differently on this full frame sensor and with this lens. So yes, regarding black and white tones, if you want to edit the files or if you want to get good JPEGs, black and white JPEGs, then I feel that they are very, very good JPEGs, you will get better results with Sony A7R3 or a Sony A7C camera with this lens. Also, I will add that regarding color photography, I really like the clear profile from the Sony camera. It is like a color chrome from Fujifilm. So I think it's clear for everyone that regarding JPEGs file, Sony is winning it, but regarding RAW files, Sony A7R3 with this lens are way more better than the RAW files from the Fujifilm camera. Now let's talk about AF, how these cameras are comparing regarding AF. Well, of course, Sony is winning it by far, but X100V, it's not bad, it's not like you will miss shots with X100V because the AF is not so fast. No, the AF, it's very fast, it's sufficiently fast to get the shots. So in real world use, even if Sony A7R3 it is much faster, in real world use you will get similar results. So this is why I will call them equally good, because with these lenses in real world street photography and travel photography, you will not have missed shots indifferently of what camera you will use. So now let's talk about my conclusion regarding especially the practical use of these two cameras. How these cameras are performing in real world street photography, in real world travel photography, in real world family photography. Well, for family photography, I really like to use X100V. The color chrome profiles with -2 shadows, -1 highlights will give me extraordinary good results for web, for printing and so on. Extraordinary. I really like to use a Fujifilm camera for family photography because the colors are good, the shallow depth is sufficient, the clarity of the image is sufficient. So I just take this camera and snap it and I have good family pictures. So regarding the snapping mode, now this is taking me to Sony A7R3. Well, I feel that you can't snap with this camera. Yes, you can use it in a snapping way, of shooting, but it's not like you will be able to do photography like you are doing with this camera. This camera having 47 megapixels, it's very prone to movement, and also Sony A7C. And the IBIS on this camera will not make miracles. So this camera, it's a camera that it will force you to think, not to try to take snaps, but to think about composition and to think about your shot. And this is why I do feel that this camera will help me get better shots. Why? Because I will have to think about compositions. And it's not just about, how I've said, image quality. It's also about the fact that being a bigger camera with a bigger sensor, I can't snap like crazy with this camera. I have to think. And this camera, it's forcing me to think, and forcing me to think, it will help me get better compositions. And better compositions with better image quality in RAW files, in the end, will bring me better pictures. But I have one problem. The camera is not portable as an X100V, and better have with you a camera than having no camera with you. So this is where X100V, it is winning it. So in conclusion, I feel that X100V, it is the best compromise regarding image quality and portability. X100V, it's great, it's very, very portable, and the images are very, very good. But this camera with this lens are also good, but the problem is regarding portability. So for me at the moment, I don't feel the weight penalty, the portability penalty that I have with this camera, it is worsening it for the moment. I will try to take a lighter bag to see if I can carry this camera more with me, because I really do like the image quality from this camera, and especially how I've said black and white. I really like black and white photography. For me, black and white photography, it is very, very important. And I feel that yes, regarding black and white photography, I get better tones with this camera, better dynamic range and better lighting and shadow details and so on. So this is where Sony A7R3 with sonar design, it is winning it. Also, it is winning it regarding portraits, and not because of the f2.8 and because of the shell of depth of field. No, because of the rendering, of the sonar rendering of the portraits. I feel that this is the smallest sonar design lens that it's out there with a very, very good AF system, and very, very small. So I really do love this combo for portraits, even if I don't have a shell of depth of field behind the portrait. The shell of depth of field for portraits, it is sufficient, and the portrait, it is extraordinary. It is, I don't know, look at Flickr and on my YouTube at the portraits that I'm showing with this lens and camera, and you will feel what I'm saying here. So a great lens, a great combo, but unfortunately not so portable. Will Sony A7C be a solution? I don't know. I have to test it in the future. So anyway, if you want to feel a great advantage on a full frame camera, think about an f2 lens, at least an f2 lens. Because, how I've said, in real world use, for the majority of the people, these two cameras are equally good. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe now to my channel, leave me a comment, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.